We talk a lot about iGaming and the future of iGaming. It probably has not gone as rapid as most of the companies out there would have liked. But Adam, you and I are at least of the same mindset that it is coming. How rapidly, we don't necessarily know. But before it's all said and done, I mean, this reminds me of like when I was a kid and like the lottery in Louisiana, and it was like it kept getting voted. Everyone's like, oh, we got to get the lottery. We got to get the lottery. And it was just like it drug on and all the opposition. And all of a sudden, one day it's like, oh, we have the lottery. And then no one even thinks twice about it ever again. And it's been there forever. And then Louisiana became one of like the biggest gaming states in the South after that. We know iGaming is going to happen in multiple states. Like that is a given. The timeline for that is the thing that we have not really pointed our finger at yet. And over in New York, they're kind of stipping their toe in the water there.
For a couple of sessions now, we've seen that Senator Joe Adabo, who has been the leading voice in terms of gaming expansion in New York for a while, has been pushing the idea of iGaming at the state legislature. It really has not gone anywhere as yet. Now, the New York sports betting market has, of course, been one of the most lucrative in the country with that 51% tax rate, but it is a complicated gaming picture in New York because you already have tribal gaming at some upstate casinos. You're talking about the potential awarding of downstate casino licenses that could be somewhere within the 5 boroughs, and now you're having more discussion around iGaming. So Senator Adabo commissioned a poll, and I'm going to give you all the usual warnings here. Very small sample, less than 600 people, but he's polling his own constituents to say, how do you feel about the expansion of iGaming? If you go to Legal Sports Report right now and you see a story from Mike Mazzio, it has the entire question that was asked if you want to know specifically what voters were asked. But here's the split that came in. 44 in favor, 33% against, and 23% undecided. And what's interesting to me as someone with a political background is that Senator Adabo didn't seem particularly encouraged by those numbers. And I, as someone who is used to dealing with these types of issues the same way that Senator Joe Adabo obviously is on a regular basis, I didn't think that was that bad of a split for an issue that has had some challenges along the way. Because when you look at a plus 11 and the fact that it's 23% undecided, I mean, anything that would be short of a terrible break in that undecided is going to put you over 50% and put you in a range where an issue like iGaming that is not one that I think has broad understanding, that I think has necessarily broad acceptance, if that's polling over 50%, and I think any reasonable assumption of how that 23% undecided would break down is going to put you over 50%. If that's where you are, you're really not in that bad of a place. Now, again, a very small sample among one specific group of people in a very limited geographic area. However, I would have been worried if that were, say, 33 to 44 as opposed to 44 to 33.
If we look at this, Adam, I mean, I think what we're kind of barreling towards, right, is we've seen, like, we saw sports betting 1.0, 2.0, 3.0 kind of happening right now with some of the guys falling out, some of the acquisition stuff, some of the stuff, whatever. And then once we get to the phase of sports books are no longer really in it for any sort of land grab. They're no longer in it for any sort of like massive customer acquisition. And it does shift a little bit more towards retention, re-upping people, keeping people engaged. So it's more of just engagement type of stuff. Hey, we've got this client already. Let's go ahead and make sure this person is continuing to make bets on the stuff like that. I think we go like full steam ahead on the iGaming stuff, but like you brought up here many times on the podcast, it's just, it is a different animal, right? Like people can wrap their brain around sports betting. And honestly, let's be honest, let's call a spade here. Games. I mean, I guess if you want to bet, Chinese ping pong or Russian ping pong or whatever it is, something like that. But like, games only happen certain times a day. It's not a 24-hour, 7 day a week, every single time, every single thing going on. Whereas if you wanted to fire up an online slot at 6 a.m., 6 p.m., 3 a.m., whatever it might be, you could do that in theory and all that. So it is, while it seems the same, it is different.
The narratives that you're working against in iGaming are different than the narratives you're working against in sports betting, right? You can say sports betting's been happening. You can talk about bookies. You can talk about offshore and say, hey, why are we letting this go to places that are not in our tax coffers? Same argument you get on something like marijuana. it's different when it comes to iGaming because not only do you face the headwinds culturally, not only do you face the headwinds from people having moral objections, but you also deal with casinos who, right or wrong, are often dealing with the cannibalization idea that has been debunked multiple times, but it is still an idea in where you're getting opposition from the industry, right? That's different than when we talk about something like marijuana. I don't remember a lot of marijuana dealers who were doing it through back rooms showing up at the legislature and saying, hold up. Are you sure you want to do this? Like, we're worried that this could cut into our business because, that's not the way that it works.